Welcome to Kids Express.
Join us as we see kids express their love for Jesus
while developing their character.
on Kids Express!
Welcome to 3ABN Kids Express. Today we're chatting with a young lady who's passionate about finding ways to provide for the physical needs of others. I'm Aunt Francine.
And I'm Angelica. Can you guess where in the world today's guests come from? Can you identify what state this is? If you said Michigan, you would be correct. Let's welcome Grace.
Welcome, Grace.
Hi.
So what do you like to do in Michigan?
I like to go for a bike ride and swim and go outside and play.
I like playing outside. You know, when I was growing up and I was about your age and I was in Michigan, my favorite thing would be going to the apple orchard, picking apples, and sometimes they would have fresh apple cider. Oh, I like fresh apple cider, especially when it came with a donut. Don't you like that? Do you like that too?
Yeah.
And I like talking about God's incredible creation. And did you know what the state fish is? What is the state fish? It is the brook trout. Did you know that? And they can swim really, really fast. They can swim like 25 feet per second. That's pretty fast.
Yes.
And a lot of people like going fishing for them, but I don't go fishing for them. But they also jump like 29 inches high. So that's pretty far.
Yes.
And did you know that brook trout don't have teeth on the roof of their mouth like other trouts? They only have teeth on the bottom jaw. That's kind of interesting.
No. Yeah. Then how does they eat?
Well, I'm assuming they suck them up and their bottom teeth are like little hooks. That's kind of interesting, huh? So what I like about Kids Express, Grace, is that we discover how other people are sharing Jesus and witnessing for him. So what do you like to do in your community?
We have drivers that come to our house, and we put out a box on our porch, and we put bags in the box, and in the bag are snacks and waters and tracks and sometimes little bracelets, and sometimes the drivers take them, and sometimes other kids take them too.
Other kids even take them when they're coming back and forth from school?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you don't mind who takes them, even though it was intended for the delivery drivers?
Yes. So do you have any other ministry? Yeah. What do you do in the ministry? Me and my brother and my mom ride our bikes around our neighborhood, and we ask people if they have any prayer requests and if we can pray. Very nice.
That is nice. And so I know that you're making a difference with people that want to pray with you, and especially when you instigate those, and we can notice these people and pay attention to them. Thank you so much. I really like how you're doing that. God wants us to notice the unnoticeable, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about how do we notice the unnoticeable. Sometimes we see people and sometimes they're selecting friends in a group, like for a team or something, and you see somebody that feels unnoticed. Do you ever see somebody like that, Grace?
Yes.
Yeah. And sometimes we've all been in that situation where we feel like we don't want to be noticed, and other times you want to be noticed, but you feel unnoticed, like nobody's paying attention to you. So what do you do when you see somebody that looks like they're all by themselves? What would you do?
I would go talk to them and play with them.
That's good. How about you, Angelica? What do you like to do when you meet somebody for the first time?
I like to say, nice to meet you. What's your name? And once I know their name, then I start talking a little more.
and they start getting excited, and they start talking and talking and talking, and then we start a conversation.
And that's good. And that's how we can encourage other people and saying compliments, right, Grace? Do you know what it means to encourage? Give me an example of something that's encouraging to somebody when you say something nice and compliment.
They smile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do smile. And so how do you know when somebody doesn't show that they're noticeable? Do you know some of their body languages when they clam up like this?
Yeah, like probably
No.
their face gets red and their ears,
Mm-hmm.
and they start laughing.
Mm-hmm. Or fidgeting.
Yeah.
Like you can tell that sometimes people, like if they fidget like this or their feet go like this, sometimes you can tell that people are nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we sometimes can look at their body language.
And they also just answer something very short.
Mm-hmm. Very short, and they don't even have eye contact. Like they might look away and look around, and that shows that they're shy or not interested.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Sometimes my dad just starts talking and talking, and I just forget about what he's talking about. And then he asked me, "Did you hear me?" And I'm like, "I forgot what you said. Could you say it again?" And it's respectful to say, "Could you say it again?"
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's okay to give the space to these people, but you know what? We can always be encouraging other people, right? And noticing even the unnoticeable, we say. So sometimes we see people in the community and we want them to feel comfortable. And so when you're you're doing something at your door with those bags, those gift bags, and you're putting it out so people that don't want to be noticed can pick them up but still learn about Jesus. But we can also make sure that we're paying attention to other people, right? And by saying, "Hey, we are glad to see you today," or "I'm glad to make a new friend." Even adults we can make friends with and notice them as well. Is there anything else that you like to do?
I like to go camping and ride bike.
So what's one thing that you do that you're trying to learn and develop your character?
I have a little brother, and I help him. I'm learning to be more patient and kind and loving with him, and I help him when my mom isn't around.
So even though sometimes our brothers know how to push our buttons, right? Sometimes it's hard to be patient because he wants to destroy your toys or get into your things, and you're like, there's a balance, right? What's the biggest thing that you've learned so far while helping your brother?
Sharing.
Sharing, and that's hard to do. Yeah, and we can share a smile with other people. That's very important, isn't it? Yes, I really appreciate what you're having to say. You know, God can use us to be very tactful and noticing other people, and so we can be helpful as well, can't we? So sometimes we can notice other people's body language.
Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes we can notice if they're nervous and fidgeting, and sometimes we want to just help people feel comfortable. I'm so glad that you're learning these skills, Grace. So what is one thing that you want to do when you grow up?
I would like to be a doctor and a painter.
And a painter. Wow. So you like painting?
Yeah.
Yes. And what kind of things do you like to paint?
I like to paint sunsets and people and lots of things.
Mm-hmm. And you like helping people, don't you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. What's the biggest thing that you like to do for people?
I like to talk to them about Jesus.
And what kind of things do you like to tell them about Jesus?
That he loves you.
That's very important. So especially the people that feel unnoticed, we want them to know that they are loved. Aren't you glad for that? And I'm so glad that God loves each one of us and so that we can live for him. Thank you, Grace. We appreciate you helping us notice the unnoticeable. I think it's time for our question. What's our question for today,
Well,
Angelica?
this question goes to all of us and comes from Satan, who lives in Florida. He asks, what do you do to help those in need?
Ooh, what do you do, Angelica?
Well, I give them water, literature, sometimes groceries.
And groceries? Do you find certain people at like a corner, or how do you find these people in need?
Well, I saw this lady. She was in need in Atlanta. We went to Atlanta where we live. It's like 2 hours from where we live.
Okay.
And there was a farmer's market. We were going to put the groceries in the trunk, and this lady comes up and she says, "Do you have food?" And we say, "Well, we just bought some groceries, but what kind of food do you want? We have quinoa. We just bought quinoa and everything." And she said, "Well, my sons don't eat quinoa, but I'm glad that you have something, but I don't want to accept it right now." And then we thought about the bread that we bought, and we also had water in the car. So we went back to the lady once we put everything in the trunk, and we told her, "We have water and we have bread. Would you like it?" And they said, and she said, "No, because my sons, they don't like vegetarian things. They like meat." But she said, "Okay, but I'll try to find something later." And my mom said, "Well, I have some literature for you." And we gave out literature in Spanish because she knew Spanish.
Oh, that's very nice. So you were noticing somebody that was unnoticeable at first, and then you were able to open up and also give them literature. How powerful is that? And God can use each one of us constantly, and I'm so glad for that. And Grace, what do you do to help those in need? That's kind of like on our topic today.
We started a ministry, and it's called Queer Everywhere. And we go for bike rides around our neighborhood, and we ask people if they want to play with us, and if they have any cool equipment.
That's powerful. I really like that. And you know, all of us can be used by God, and I really appreciate you helping us talk about noticing those people that are sometimes unnoticeable, Grace, and we appreciate you helping us, and I know that God is working on you to do even more and to be more in contact with other people so that we can notice them and help them feel valuable. You know, Christ is working on each of us, and we thank you so much for joining us on Kids Express, and we hope that you inspire to grow more like Christ. Thanks for joining us on
Kids Express!